Why some people get extraordinary results. While others don't, have you ever looked at someone and wondered, how did they get there? Maybe it was a successful entrepreneur, a wealthy investor, a famous athlete, a respected leader, or perhaps someone from your own town who started with almost nothing and somehow built an extraordinary life. You look at them and ask yourself, what is different about them? Are they smarter, luckier, more talented? Did they simply work harder? Most people spend their entire lives believing the answer is obvious. They believe success comes from hard work. And while hard work certainly matters, there is a problem with that explanation. If hard work alone determined success, then every farmer would be rich, every construction worker would be a millionaire, every person working 16 hours a day would become wealthy. But we know that's not how the world works. Some people work incredibly hard and struggle for years. Others seem to achieve extraordinary results with far less effort. Why? Today I want to explore one of the most important questions you will ever ask yourself. Why do some people achieve extraordinary results while others don't? Because once you understand the answer, you will never look at success the same way again. And more importantly, you may begin to see opportunities that have been invisible to you your entire life. Let's start with a simple thought experiment. Imagine two children born in the same town. They attend similar schools. They grow up speaking the same language. They face similar economic conditions. Their families are not very different. At age 10, they seem almost identical. At age 20, they still appear similar. But by age 40, something remarkable has happened. One person owns businesses, the other struggles financially. One has influence, the other is rarely heard. One creates opportunities, the other waits for opportunities. What happened? Most people immediately answer, the successful person worked harder. Maybe, but that answer is often incomplete. Because if success were simply about effort, then everyone who worked hard would achieve extraordinary results. Reality tells a different story. The world is full of hardworking people, yet extraordinary results remain rare. This suggests something important. Success is not only about effort, it is also about direction. Imagine two people pushing with equal strength. One is pushing against a concrete wall, the other is pushing a door that opens. The effort is identical. The outcome is completely different. The first person becomes exhausted. The second person moves forward. The difference was not effort. The difference was leverage. And leverage is one of the hidden ideas that separates ordinary outcomes from extraordinary ones. Most people focus on working harder. Few people focus on finding leverage. Let's think about sports. Millions of children play football around the world, yet only a tiny percentage become professional athletes. An even smaller percentage become global stars. Why? The difference is rarely 100 times more effort. Often the difference is a combination of small advantages: better coaching, better habits, better opportunities, better decisions, small advantages that compound over time. Now think about business. Thousands of companies enter the market every year. Most remain small, a few become dominant, a very small number transform entire industries. Think about technology companies. Think about social media platforms. Think about global brands. The rewards are not distributed evenly. A few organizations capture a huge share of the value. The same pattern appears in wealth. The same pattern appears in influence. The same pattern appears in careers. And the same pattern appears in life. The world is not evenly distributed. This observation shocked an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto more than 100 years ago. He noticed that a small percentage of people owned most of the land in Italy. At first, he thought it was unusual. Then he started looking elsewhere. He found the same pattern again, and again, and again. What he discovered would eventually become known as the 80-20 rule. But before we get there, we need to understand something even more important: the hidden pattern behind extraordinary success. You see, successful people often have one skill, one habit, one decision, or one opportunity that acts like a multiplier. It multiplies everything else. Imagine two people who both have engineering knowledge. One of them also has excellent communication skills. Who will likely receive more opportunities? Who will lead teams? Who will present ideas? Who will build stronger networks? Who will perform better in interviews? One additional skill changes everything. That skill becomes a multiplier, a leverage point, and leverage points are often responsible for a huge percentage of someone's success. Many people spend years collecting knowledge. They attend courses, they earn certificates, they read books, they watch videos, they gather information from everywhere. But very few people stop and ask a simple question: which knowledge will create the greatest impact on my life? Because knowledge alone is not enough. The world is full of knowledgeable people who never achieve extraordinary results. The difference is that some knowledge acts as a multiplier. Some skills multiply the value of everything else you already know. Imagine two people who spend 1,000 hours learning different things. The first person spends those hours learning information that is useful but isolated. The second person spends those hours learning communication, technology, leadership, and problem solving. 10 years later, the difference between them may be enormous. Not because one learned more, but because one learned skills that multiplied everything else. This is leverage. Leverage means getting a bigger result from the same amount of effort. Imagine using your hands to move a heavy rock. It might take hours. Now imagine using a long metal bar as a lever. Suddenly the same person can move the same rock with much less effort. The lever magnifies the force. In life, leverage works exactly the same way. Certain skills magnify your effort. Certain decisions magnify your opportunities. Certain relationships magnify your growth. And certain technologies magnify your productivity. That is why leverage matters. Because success is often less about working harder and more about finding the right leverage. Communication can be leverage. A person who communicates clearly can influence people, explain ideas, lead teams, negotiate agreements, and build trust. The same technical knowledge becomes far more valuable when combined with communication. Technology can be leverage. A single piece of software can help one person do the work that previously required 10 people. Think about what computers did for businesses. Think about what the internet did for communication. Think about what smartphones did for access to information. Technology multiplied human capability. Leadership can be leverage. A single leader can coordinate hundreds or even thousands of people toward a common goal. One person's influence can produce results far beyond what they could accomplish alone. Networks can be leverage. One introduction can lead to a new job. One connection can lead to a new business opportunity. One conversation can change the direction of an entire career. And in today's world, artificial intelligence may become one of the greatest leverage tools ever created. A person using AI effectively can write faster, learn faster, analyze data faster, automate tasks, and solve problems more efficiently. Just as computers transformed the previous generation, AI may transform the next. The key lesson is this: not all skills are equal, not all efforts are equal, not all opportunities are equal. Some activities produce far greater returns than others. Some decisions create consequences that last for years. Some skills continue paying dividends long after they are learned. And once you discover these high leverage areas, something remarkable begins to happen. A chain reaction starts. One opportunity creates another. One success creates another. One improvement leads to another. Success creates confidence. When people experience success, they begin believing they can achieve more. Confidence creates action. People who believe in themselves tend to take more initiative. Action creates opportunities. The more you act, the more doors you discover. Opportunities create experience. Every challenge teaches something valuable. Experience creates competence. Competence creates trust. Trust creates responsibility. Responsibility creates more opportunities. And suddenly a powerful cycle emerges. This cycle is known as a feedback loop. A feedback loop occurs when the output of a system becomes part of the input for the next cycle. In simple terms, success starts helping to create more success. Think about learning a language. At first, progress feels slow. You learn a few words, you make mistakes, you struggle to communicate, but eventually you begin understanding conversations. That increases your confidence. Because your confidence increases, you practice more. More practice improves your skills. Better skills create better conversations. Better conversations create more confidence. The cycle strengthens itself. This is a positive feedback loop. The same thing happens in careers. Someone gets their first opportunity. That opportunity creates experience. Experience creates credibility. Credibility creates trust. Trust creates more opportunities. Each success increases the chances of future success. But feedback loops can also work in the opposite direction. A person experiences failure. Failure reduces confidence. Reduced confidence limits action. Limited action reduces opportunities. Fewer opportunities create more frustration, and a negative cycle begins. This is why understanding these hidden rules matters so much. Because once you understand them, you stop seeing life as random. You stop assuming that outcomes simply happen. You begin looking beneath the surface. You begin seeing patterns. You begin seeing systems. You begin seeing leverage. And most importantly, you begin asking better questions. Instead of asking, why is that person successful? You ask, what created the success? What skill opened the first door? What decision started the chain reaction? What habit created momentum? What opportunity changed everything? What leverage point multiplied their efforts? Because once you understand the cause, the outcome becomes much easier to understand. Most people only see the tree. They don't see the seed. They see the success. They don't see the years of growth. They see the wealth. They don't see the sacrifices. They see the achievement. They don't see the learning. They see the result. They don't see the process. And that is one of the greatest mistakes people make. They compare their beginning to someone else's ending. They compare their first chapter to someone else's 20th chapter. They compare their current struggles to someone else's finished success story. And because they cannot see the invisible journey, they assume success is mysterious. But success is often the result of hidden patterns operating over long periods of time, patterns that can be studied,